The film begins with an animation, and we are shown the story of a fawn named Bambi who lived in the jungle with his mom. They were living happily, but one day some hunters killed his mom, and thus he was left alone in this dangerous jungle. Avoiding the dangers of the jungle, he lives on for years, after which Bambi finally finds a partner. His family was becoming whole again. They even had a child. Because of this, Bambi started to be as happy as in his childhood, but perhaps fate did not accept his happiness. Soon after these few moments of joy, troubles began to enter their lives. Because humans had started cutting down forests, they had to change their home again and again. One day, as Bambi's family was crossing the road that runs through the jungle, a speeding truck ran them over. Bambi suffered only minor injuries, but unfortunately his wife died due to the truck driver's negligence, and his children, frightened by the accident, had run back into the forest. The driver of that truck did stop here, but not to help. He went straight to the riverbank and dumped the drums filled with toxic chemicals into the water. After that, he fled from there as if he hadn't done anything. Having lost his family once again, he was going mad with grief and anger. Parched with thirst, he drank from the same river into which the driver had just poured the toxic chemicals. After drinking the water, Bambi began to convulse, and for a moment it seemed like he would die. But instead of taking his life, the poison transformed him into a strange creature. When Bambi was writhing in pain, we saw that his bones were growing. The bones breaking and rejoining looked terrifying. It was difficult to watch. His muscles were swelling, and his teeth had become sharp. And now he had transformed from a cute deer into a terrifying monster that, instead of 4 legs, could even walk on 2. He was already mad with grief and rage. After enduring this pain, he swore that he would, at any cost, take revenge on humans for his family. Now the scene cuts and we come back to reality. We see Gina and her son, who were going to celebrate Thanksgiving with their family. But Gina was very worried because, as always, her husband had changed his mind at the last minute. So Gina had to go on such a long journey alone with her son. She didn't take the risk of driving such a long distance herself and hired a taxi, so that she could reach that cabin in the forest, where her mother-in-law, no, her son Benji's grandma lives. Because of the forest winding roads, Benji was feeling sick, and since Dad hadn't come, his mood was off too. So Gina joked, "Oh, so what if your dad didn't come? It's not like someone in this forest will swallow us." Hearing this, the driver became serious and warned them that this forest isn't an ordinary one. People often disappear here. As he was speaking, Gina began to vomit again and suddenly told the driver to stop the car. The driver had just hit the brakes when there was a sudden bang. Something very heavy had collided with their taxi. That thing was so heavy that the car was thrown into the air and, losing balance, plunged into the ravine. Everything turned upside down. Gina and Benji somehow managed to save their lives and get out of the wrecked car. At this time, they were badly injured and also terrified because they had realized that in the dark someone had dragged the driver away. Whatever it was could hunt humans. Because of this, they were even more frightened. Then, heightening their fear, an even more terrifying sound echoed in the silence of the forest. From the panting and the heavy footsteps, they realized that something was hunting close by. To save their lives, the mother and son ran into the forest and finally reached Grandma Mary's cabin. Inside, the rest of the family was waiting for them. All of Simon's brothers, their wives, and children were there, and everyone was in a bad mood because Simon, Benji's father, hadn't come. Here we learn that Benji's grandma has dementia. She always sits in her chair, talking strangely and making weird, scary sketches. Now the door was being knocked on loudly, and as soon as they opened it, it turned out the mother and son had arrived. At this moment, both of them were extremely scared and trembling. They brought them inside, tried to calm them, and asked what had happened. Gina told them about the accident on the way and about the creature that had hunted the driver. Simon's family was very confused. Simon's brother tried to act brave and clever, picked up a torch, and said he would go help the driver. Meanwhile, we are shown a few other people in the forest. They are big-time hunters. But they haven't come for regular game. They've received a very big contract. On behalf of the Bill Pack Company, their mission is to find the mutated Bambi and kill it, so that the company's secret remains a secret, that their toxins are turning animals into zombies. They were just leaving when they found a broken taxi near the ravine. Seeing this, the hunters panicked, and just then they heard something nearby. Frightened, they fired in that direction without even thinking that there might not be an animal there. And that's exactly what happened. Simon's brother had come here to save the driver's life, but now he had lost his own. Seeing the boy dead, the rest of them got angry at their companion and decided they wouldn't let this get out. They dug a pit and hid the body right there. Cutting back, we're shown Benji's grandma's cabin again. There, Gina was very scared, and she now looked at the drawings her mother-in-law had made and noticed that only one thing had been drawn in all of them. A big black deer whose antlers looked extremely dangerous. If Grandma was drawing pictures of this monster, it clearly meant she had seen this monster up close. Everyone understood that the danger was now very close. Benji went to his grandma and listened to what she was saying. She was muttering that he was playing in the park in front. Not understanding what she meant, he looked out the window and screamed. Because right at the edge of the forest, in the clearing, it was standing, the zombie deer. Standing on two legs, like a human. Its eyes were turning blood red, and the huge antlers made it even more terrifying. Bambi slammed down with a thunderous thud and charged toward the cabin. Chaos erupted inside the house. Everyone was trying to save themselves. It had already broken the door and forced its way inside. Jaina, Benji, and Benji's uncle rushed outside to save their lives. But Benji's aunt tried to hide in the washroom to save herself. Bambi broke that door too and drove his horn into her body, killing her on the spot. For the moment, she had only been trying to save herself. She escaped through the washroom window, and Bambi followed her. By the time the three of them got into the car, they saw with their own eyes that Bambi had stabbed his horns into her neck and killed her. Meanwhile, they kept trying to start the car to save themselves. But the car just wouldn't start. Terrified, they saw that Bambi, after wrecking the house, was coming toward them to kill them. Finally, their luck favored them and the engine started. They started the van and pulled out toward the road. But the beast was also taking huge leaps after them. He kept trying again and again to push them off the road, but Benji's uncle was a good driver. They maintained their balance for a long time and kept the speed high, which is why they survived. They pulled ahead of Bambi, but after going a short distance their path was blocked. They were badly stuck against a big tree. They could go neither forward nor back, and time was short. Bambi would reach them soon. They decided to remove the tree from their path. Benji said he would get down and tie this log with a rope. The others would push the tree to the other side to set its direction, and the final shove would come from the van. Then the tree would crash toward the forest and the road would be cleared. Benji had been given a big responsibility in this plan. They prepared their whole setup, and then suddenly, out of the darkness the master, that is, Bambi, emerged. Seeing this, Jaina panicked so much that she didn't even realize what she was doing. She had put her foot on the accelerator. As a result, her uncle, who had the rope looped around his foot, started being dragged along with it, and his face got badly injured. Their son, who had been left behind, also ran from there to escape the master and ended up in the forest. He didn't become Bunny's prey, but in anger he took out his rage and frustration on a little rabbit. After he kicked it, that rabbit brought its companions to take revenge. It turned out that those rabbits too had turned into dangerous zombies because of. They leaped onto the girl, attacked her, knocked her down, and started eating her. In the midst of the crisis, we cut back to Bambi's scene. The hunter's truck arrived right where their van had stopped. Seeing them, Jaina flagged them down for help. So the hunters let them all climb into their truck. When they reached their base, Jaina and Ben were shocked to see that Simon was there too. Despite being in the same area, he hadn't come to have dinner with his mom. What could have been so important for him in this jungle, Simon? Now the bitter truth came out. He was a very high-ranking officer of the Bill Vaxer Company. He had made a huge mistake because he had ordered his company's toxic waste to be dumped in the forest, since making that waste environmentally friendly would have required a lot of money. So Simon decided he wouldn't spend the money cleaning up the waste. He kept the money for himself and had the waste dumped in the forest. After drinking water from that toxic waste, Bambi and many animals in the forest turned into terrifying monsters. If this got out and someone found out, a huge case would be filed against the company and him, and he would go to jail. To protect himself, he had hired these hunters, and he wanted to kill Bambi and all the zombie animals, and clear this jungle. Hearing the whole truth, Jaina wanted to scream at him and told him that because of your greed, your own brother and nephew died, and now your son and I are going through all of this too. Simon said, "Blame me if you want, but I never wanted to take responsibility." Standing outside, the boy was listening to everything, and when he realized that they didn't love him at all, he became very sad and ran off. After going just a little distance, he saw a cage there covered with a cloth. When he removed the cloth, he was shocked to see a fawn inside. He realized the hunters had set this baby as bait to lure the master Bambi. Benji felt his own pain in that poor little animal. He too was alone in his pain, so he opened the cage and set it free. Meanwhile, Bambi, who was about to kill another person at that moment, caught the scent of his child, left the man, and went to look for his baby. Searching for his child, he had now entered the hunter's camp, where, as soon as he went in, he saw Benji's grandma. Before anything else could happen, the staff whisked her away, and Bambi attacked. In the control room, they were now ready to kill Bambi. Just then, the ground began to shake, and the mutated young Bambi arrived there. The hunter tried to shoot at him, but the master lifted him on his horns and hurled him away. At that moment, right in front of Bambi, Simon ran to save his own life instead of his family's. He went and sat in his expensive car and locked it. He thought his life was saved now, but the windows of the back doors hadn't even been closed. From there, those zombie rabbits attacked him immediately and killed him. The scene cuts to the other side and shows the camp, where only Sana, Benji, and Mom are left. The terrifying stag is standing over them, breathing heavily, before he can kill the two of them. This little fawn emerges from the bushes. The moment he sees his son, he forgets about the two of them. He is overjoyed to be reunited with his son. The two of them celebrate their reunion, but the story doesn't end here. We are shown that the hunter called Master had only been thrown aside. He is still alive and, with his last breaths, he raises his gun and shoots the father. Even as he dies, the hunter laughs. He cackles as if he has won a great war. At that very moment, from the darkness, Jaina lets out a scream and, in anger, kills that man. She stabs a knife into his chest, and he finally meets his end, after which Jaina brings Mary back to their side. Here, the three of them witness a very emotional scene. Even after the father and son reunited, they were separated again, and because of the hunter's bullet, the father had now died, and the little deer kept trying to wake his dad. But now he was not going to wake up. This child, too, had inherited his dad's fate. He, too, was now going to live out his life alone like a captive. And after showing all this, it ends here.